All right, welcome back, everybody. We are at CanJam SoCal 2025, live from the showroom floor, the Source AV Design Group, and I am here with co-founder Jason. Good to have you with us, sir.
It's good to be here.
So what do you think, man, of this year? How do you feel about the CanJam vibe this year?
So it's just like all CanJams, where it's relatively, well, it's actually crowded, but it might be a little bit light by comparison to last year. I guess we'll find out when they,
the final
announce
numbers.
what the final numbers are. And tomorrow could be huge.
The line was pretty big today, though, when we started. So, and it is towards the end of the day, so it might be just thinning out a little bit. But yeah, still lots of great manufacturers here. Has there been anything from a product perspective in the head-fi world that just wowed you this year that you saw, or chatted with somebody from a certain company that you're like, oh, that's cool?
So there was things that I've been made aware of in the last week or so before the show. So you've already done a review and put a review out on the new Yamaha headphones.
Yeah.
That 4000 is going to be pretty good. And for the guys that like a more fun sound, I think that Model 3000 is going to be pretty
Absolutely.
cool. And they're at price points where, I mean, we're talking about a very affordable product, and that's kind of cool. What else have I noticed? Well, I think you saw it, the new toy from Odmo.
Yeah, the new little portable amplifier, and it has that their ability to adjust the soundstage on that as well, even from their flagship, which is really cool. I'm looking forward to checking that out. They wanted me to listen to it today, and I said, it's really hard on the showroom floor. Just send it up or send it to the Source, and the Source will send it to me, and I can do a legitimate review on it. And they're like, we'll do it. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm excited for that.
So so the one thing about the 3000 and your presentation of it on our video,
Yep.
and my impression are close in terms of fit. They are a little tight on the ears. They come right up, like even.
Yeah.
I guess I have a medium ear, so I can feel the edge.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know. It didn't bother me, but I didn't.
No, it's not horrible.
I didn't sit underneath them for a long time.
Right.
But I thought they were actually at the price point, and the build quality. I was going, this headphone's a pretty good deal.
The beechwood is pretty too. The way they the finish on it is really pretty.
Yeah. So I think that's one that, for those sub 1,000 guys on a headphone that's not technically audiophile, but definitely a high quality headphone.
Yeah.
I think that one is probably one that I think a lot of people might want to pay attention to.
It's definitely worth a listen for sure to see if they like it.
And I think that everybody needs to know that there's a lot of misimpressions about, I think, some of the Yamaha headphones, where they do require a lot of burn-in time.
Yes, that's.
And so
for
it's
sure.
the 5,000, the 4,000, the 3,000. They require some time, get that driver moving, get it used to its job. And then they open up quite nicely.
Yep.
But initially out of the box, you're starting to go, did I make a mistake?
They need some work, out of the box.
So
I noticed that with my own pair of the 5000s for sure.
yeah, you got to that's Yamaha. And so I subsequently in a meeting, I think they came to the office on Wednesday, and I asked them if they put any time on them, and no, they come fresh.
That's what
right
I,
off
that's
the production line
that's what
into
we're
the
talking
box.
about.
And so there's no burn-in time at all.
Yeah.
There's just a sweep on them to make sure that they're working at full frequency.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's the only QC they do in terms of, of anything.
Which is different from a lot of manufacturers where they might burn them in at least for 30, 40 hours at least.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. I mean, I know Dan Clark has a burn-in time. A lot of guys have burn-in times. Mostly the smaller manufacturers instead of the high production manufacturers. So you got Dan Clark, you got Zach over at ZMF.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that do a really good job.
Yeah.
And that was one of my saddest points at the Source is when Zach decided to go direct instead of allowing us to continue being a retailer.
Yeah.
But hey, everybody's got their business model. He's a good guy. It's a good product.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I love it. So we're here really to chat about TSAV, we realized that we live stream from the showroom floor for years now, and we talk to all the other manufacturers, and we don't talk about TSAV, the source, So I'm going to interview you, and we're going to talk a little bit about the source, the philosophy, and the history of the company, and just so people can get to know us better. So
Let's go it.
Tell us a little bit about the philosophy of TSAV and what viewers should know and potential customers should know about our philosophy and how we look at things.
So my philosophy isn't new. In fact, when I was in my teens, I was into hi-fi, and I used to visit the store in Santa Monica, and it was the guy's name. It was a company called Jonas Miller. And Jonas was a very interesting man in that he said, if you really want to help somebody buy a hi-fi, don't tell them what to buy. Teach them how to buy. Teach them how to choose, find the attributes that individual is looking for,
right?
And then teach them how to seek that out, and then also teach them the pitfalls, right? Teach them the up and the downside of what may happen in their experience, but not about a particular item. If we're talking about, I don't know, FoCal utility.
Sure.
Okay, so you got that headphone, and they're going to listen to it, but I think it's not that we want to sell them that headphone. It's that we want to help them make sure that headphone is the right choice.
Right, yeah, the correct for them.
And show them options in or around it
right.
that also make good sense within that style, their listening style.
Yep.
And so you're kind of teaching them the bandwidth of what choices are out there.
Right.
And again, I like Jonas's way. So I wanted to buy my first Macintosh system, and this is in the 60s, right?
Cool.
And, I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
I was a teenager, I was in high school, but I would still go there, and he still taught me how to choose speakers, what to look for, how to tell if it was going to fatigue me, just like a headphone.
Right.
And so when my brother asked me to start a company with him, he didn't know what to do. I'm a retired engineer, right? So I think we had an architect next door to our office for another company we had, and the architect brought this guy Deepak Chopra.
Oh, my mom is a big fan of Deepak Chopra. She might actually be watching right now. So the fact that you said that, she's going to love that.
So Deepak was building a new house.
Yeah.
And he wanted to put a theater in, and they I guess they associated with me being an engineer and a live sound engineer and a recording engineer. I guess they thought that I would know about consumer electronics. And I really didn't. I wasn't in a place in my life where I cared. So what happened, and this is 1999, so it was just the entry level of a lot of new technologies that we see now.
Home theater was about to blow up right in that time period, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so we're just 26 years later, the world has changed. But, the architect in Deepak finally talked me into at least researching if a proposal that they had received was a valid, legit, good proposal, but it was from a big store.
So they pulled you in as a consultant, basically.
Just to evaluate it and to tell them if it was a good price. Well, as it turned out, it was about $50,000 higher than the actual price should have been if you charged 3 times the labor that it took, right? So not only were they charging, they were just charging like management fees. This was Good Guys.
I remember
Retail
Good
store
Guys.
with zero talent.
I remember
right?
Good
It just
Guys.
sales schleps, right? You might as well go to Sears.
Yeah.
Which is not a lot of skill set.
Right.
But it was a place to resource stuff, so it is what it is.
Yep.
But Good Guys put the proposal on. It was just astronomical, and it was mediocre. It was small Denon receivers. The theater was being designed based on 50 seats. This is not a 4-seat or 6-seat or 8 or 12-seat theater. This is 50 seats in a guy's house.
It's a huge difference.
And so a big space. So their whole design was kind of mediocre.
Yeah.
And then, I just kept looking at it. And then I said, okay, let me take a look at what's available. And I saw what was available, and I said, for the same money, if that dollar number is good, I think it was $450,000.
It's a lot back then. A lot today, even.
And this is 1998.
Yeah.
So I looked at the numbers that they had, and I said, okay, with that budget, you can do this. So we left it alone. We gave them what they wanted. They were done. 2 weeks later, they came back and they said, so we want you to do the work.
Nice.
And I said, no. I don't want to do this kind of work. I don't care for this kind of work. I come from the concert industry.
Right.
I'm not sitting here dealing with building.
Right.
It was kind of funny. And several weeks went by and they just kept coming at me. Finally, they offered me enough money where I said, okay, but you can't tell anybody I'm doing this. I don't want anybody to know that I just designed the
Your success would get you more of those people, probably.
So Deepak, being the guy he is, 2 weeks later, we're getting all these calls.
Of course.
And it's like, we don't do home theater. Well, no, you're doing Deepak's theater. Oh, shit. So I'm caught.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I can't lie to him. I can't say no.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm going, it's not what I do. I said, if you want me to design an amplifier for you, you want me to do something for you like that, that's fine. I can do that. But doing somebody's home theater, it just didn't excite me. We did do Deepak's. We did do a nice job, but I guess that's what pushed that. And it just kept coming. And then I finally sat down with my brother Steven and I said, what do you want to do? Because, I did a little more research. I started realizing you can actually make a living doing this.
And it's fun.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's how it started.
That's cool.
Was from there. And then when I take that experience and combine it with that Jonas Miller experience, it gave me a path on how I wanted to bring it to market.
And your true philosophy behind it, yeah.
And so his philosophy, what I learned in the grand scheme of things, just be friendly, help people, experience it correctly.
Yep.
So that they can make a good, solid decision. And you essentially, for all intents and purposes, are letting them be their own salesperson.
Right.
All you are is a guide.
Right.
And for me, that's a very comfortable place. I've never been a salesman, don't want to be a salesman.
Right.
We've had a few salesmen work for us. Didn't really work out.
Right.
Because I would hear what they said, and then I would go, oh.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want that being told to customers.
It's just, I don't want to say, I don't want that person to say, okay, how would you like to pay for that every 10 minutes?
Right, no.
It's just something I didn't appreciate. And while that was probably their trained style, and it is a sales technique,
it's not what you want.
I just didn't want to be in that space.
It makes sense.
So that's kind of how we ended up where we are.
I love it. And I love the origin story too, like of how it started. That's a really cool. I've never heard that before, so I really enjoyed it.
So my brother Steven wanted to get married and have kids, and we had a company that wasn't making huge money, but it was a little extra. But he wanted to have kids, get married. He also.
We tried to get Steven on, by the way, but he was too scared to jump on with us.
He was working for a rent-to-own company. And after having a gun put in your face so many times,
oh hell no, yeah,
he wanted to make a change.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
And it turned out that it was appropriate because of some of the things that we do.
Right.
He was the right man for the job if he was willing to learn it.
Yeah.
The good thing was, learning it was exciting for him, like automation.
And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So tell me, so that's the origin of the Source AV, but you have had a rich history long before the Source AV. So you're an engineer, you went to school for engineering, but you've also done a lot more in the music industry. So tell us a little bit about who you were and what you did before the Source AV, now that we know the origin story of the Source AV.
So where do I start, diapers?
Wherever. Not that far back.
So, it's the influence has always been there. My dad is one of the team that helped build radar back in World War II. He was part of the Army Air Corps, and he worked with the Brits, and those guys put together radar. So and my dad would go out to these bars, get drunk, and he would come home with these do-it-yourself amplifiers, like a Heath kit, Dyna kit, even Macintosh kits,
cool.
which there were very few of those made, but he brought a pair home. And they're little tiny 15, I think they're 15 watt monoblocks.
Right.
And he just said, here, you build them.
Let you tinker around with
Yeah,
them.
and I had no background. But I mean, they had instructions.
Yeah.
And they were kits. So
Yep.
that you just follow the instructions. And so that's where I learned to solder, started understanding engineering. And although I wanted to be a musician, not an engineer, I liked it. I liked how it worked, how you could engineer and design new ideas, how to get to that, how to take that idea from here all the way onto a piece of paper and then into an actual device. And so there was a lot of things like that. A guy named Ray Manzar from The Doors
Okay. Very cool.
was a neighbor, and he and my grandfather got together, and Ray and my grandfather were going out to, what do you call it, pawn shops,
Okay.
and they wanted to find me. I was playing an upright bass, and so I wanted to be an electric bass player. So Ray and my grandfather went out and went to some pawn shop, got a Fender bass, precision bass, paid $150 or something for it, brought it home. Well, I had a bass but no amplifier. So Ray had just blown up the amplifier he used for his bass, keyboard bass,
Yeah.
at the Whiskey A Go-Go.
Oh.
And so he goes, here, take this, fix it, and now you got a bass amp. So it had a big 15 in it.
It's a famous club for those of you that don't know.
Whiskey A Go-Go in Hollywood. Yeah.
Very famous club in Hollywood.
And so it was really kind of funny. So he gave me that amp. It was the electronics were a little bit damaged. The 15-inch driver was blown. I couldn't get my dad to loan me the money for a 15, but he brought home a big box of 4.5-inch drivers.
That's awesome.
And so we built a new baffle board, and we put 11 4-inch drivers in there.
Wow.
And so you're basically talking about the same piston mass, right? So it was a good idea. The problem was it didn't go boom. It was like a piano string. Because the small drivers were so fast,
Right.
it gave it a true turn of the string.
Right.
Whereas, back in those days, everything was in-a-gata-da-vida, boom, boom, boom. Right? No real detail to the note. So nobody would hire me with that bass amplifier. Eventually, I think I earned enough money to buy a small Fender bass rig, and that's where I got to meet Leo, and then it just kept going. So it is. After I left high school, went to Vietnam, came back, and then I went to school. That's where I went to MIT,
Right.
and then over to Juilliard, and then got my education, and then from there it was just, Larry Carlton was from Torrance, I was from Redondo, I went to South Torrance High, he went to Narbonne, which is on the north end or east end of Torrance.
Okay.
And so it was really kind of funny. He got me my first paying commercial. You're doing jingles.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then it just kept growing because once you knew Larry, then you meet Larry, you meet like Lee Ritenour, then you meet Steve Lukather, then you meet all these famous guys, and then I was really getting into bass at that time too. So they turned me on to a place called Valley Arts Guitar up in Studio City, up in the San Fernando Valley, north end of Los Angeles, and they made amazing guitars. So they were doing Jay Graydon, all these famous guys that were doing all the television shows, and those guys just sort of kept finding out more about me, and by hanging out, we ended up doing things. Like the way Toto hired me as a sound engineer was they heard me doing Larry. And Larry was doing a college campus, right? And they heard me doing it. And they go, so I became, at that point, interesting enough, you know how they call you Mr. Hi-Fi?
Yeah.
That was my name.
That's awesome.
So as a sound engineer, live sound engineer, they were calling me Mr. Hi-Fi.
That's cool.
Because I didn't mix loud.
Right.
I mixed very clean and big, but not loud. I didn't try to punish anybody's ears.
Sure.
And I was very protective. My dad was good at helping me understand. I was very protective of my ears, so I didn't want to mix loud.
Right.
And so that's kind of where that whole thing started, and it just kept growing to the point where it was like Bryan Adams, Eric Clapton, this guy, all these different major artists.
Yep.
And it just kept going. And finally, I think it was 95, where I said, okay, I'm an old road dog now. And I don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
And so that's when I retired. And then, of course, my evil brother talked me into going back into business.
Pulls you back in.
Yeah. But, I also got married.
Yeah.
And, I think it was the day after we came back from our honeymoon, my then wife handed me a 15-page honeydew list.
A 15-page what?
Honeydew list.
Oh my god.
Honeydew this, honeydew that.
Honeydew all this, honeydew that, honeydew.
And then so when Steven hit me up and said, let's start a company, I was just going, anything to get away from this.
That sounds better.
Because I don't want to go be a plumber. I don't want to go be this.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that. So it's kind of funny. And that's how, so it was provoked where I ended up getting into this business. But it's what kept me in this business is the people.
Right.
So there's just a lot of things. Like, when HeadFi came to me, it was Warren Chi and a bunch of guys that came to me, and they said, you know what? You're like this massive headphone store, right? Or, store, hi-fi store. Why don't you sell headphones? And I was just like every other headphone, or every other
hi-fi
dealer, right?
Yep.
Where, you know what, it's not a big enough return on each individual item to be worth it. But they kept pushing, and other people kept coming in and saying, you're a guy who could do this. So I did my research, and that's how the Source AV added headphones
to the mix.
Yeah, and now I think it's 15 or 1,600 square foot area dedicated to headphones.
Yeah, and there's like over 100 headphones, I think, or something like that. It's a lot.
Well, if you include the IEMs, I think it's about 160.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And so, it's kind of like a mini CanJam. You can see a lot of what you see here, you can see at the Source AV.
Absolutely.
Now, not everything, of course.
No.
And, because I can't speak the language of half these countries.
Right, yeah. Well, and there's just so many different... it's impossible to carry everything. Like, you have to pick and choose which brands you think fit with your taste and the quality of what you want to present.
Well, so I'm of a mindset that something can be inexpensive and still be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was spending time with those, right? And a lot of companies, IEM companies, it was, Andy Reagan worked for, who just left, Dan Clark.
Yep.
Was working for Jerry Harvey. And Andy and I sort of knew each other from the concert world.
Okay.
And so he goes, hey, why don't you carry some Jerry Harvey in here? And I kind of went, okay.
You're like, well, all right.
I wasn't excited. But they had some good products. And then a company called UE, Ultimate Ear, came along and had this wonderful guy as their sales manager for in-ears. He goes, Jason, let me just make a set for you. You're a bass player. How do you like your sound when you're listening? And I go, on stage? He goes, yeah. I go, okay, this is what I like. And so he handed me a universal test set. I listened to it and I went, yeah, that's the kind of sound I want on stage. And he goes, okay, so what do you want when you're listening to hi-fi? Right? And I said, well, I kind of like a more detailed sound.
Right.
So I can hear the whole thing.
Right.
Because I'm listening to music now. This is my entertainment.
Yep.
It's not me practicing or me on stage performing.
Yeah.
And so it just grew. And so it just kept going. And then, there was Jude, right, and Warren Chi were both saying, hey, Jason, did you check this out? You check that out? It just kept coming. And eventually I just said, okay, let's give this a try and make it an official department. And I think that where else can you go and not be bothered by a salesperson?
Right.
The person that's only there to help you, plug into this or plug into that to make sure that you're getting the connectivity you need.
Yep.
And they might make a suggestion to you saying, hey, if you didn't like this particular Sennheiser, there's a Mezza over here at about the same price.
Right.
Why don't you try the Mezza and see if that floats your boat?
Right.
And it's because I know a lot of musicians, we still sell, custom fit in-ears. And so we do the whole thing. We're in LA, so we get the ball players.
Right.
So we get the basketball players, the baseball players. And those guys, they're mostly bling, right? How bitchin' does it look?
Right.
How can I brag about it?
Yeah.
But they're fun.
Yeah.
Right. And then But doing the headphone stuff brought a new inspiration in a way to me because it was young people and a new way of listening to music.
Yeah. Connecting with that generation of the new listeners.
Yes, it's more mobile,
Yeah.
a lot smaller gear, but the performance levels was something they had demands that were higher than I expected. So what we're listening to right now for a headphone is not something you want hi-fi on, right?
No.
And I thought, meeting somebody that was 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, and they are sitting there telling me why a diaphragm is a particular build, I was fascinated that these young people without the engineering background
So knowledgeable.
had
Yeah.
studied that well enough. And so I just kept doing it, and it just got more and more fun. Not every customer's fun.
No.
But
yeah.
this genre of headphones, I really enjoy the people.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the boomers. They got the boomers. They come in, they buy their big last hurrah hi-fi.
Sure.
Right? They're just as fun,
Yeah.
right? The guys in the middle are awkward as hell.
Because
Right.
sometimes
Because
they don't even know what they want,
No,
right?
and a lot of them are trying to buy bling, but they don't know how to express that. I want bragging rights. I don't care if it sounds
Right.
good, right? But then the guy comes in and goes, "Hey, I got a Bose Wave radio. Can you get me something that's at least that good?"
Step it up a little.
And you kind of go. So and I would tell people in the pro audio world, Bose stands for Bring Other Sound Equipment. So it was just a joke.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
there was some people say Bose, no highs, no lows.
I remember that one. I remember that
but
one. Yeah.
in the pro world, it was Bring Other Sound Equipment.
yeah.
And it was just because they didn't apply to our world.
To the pro world, yeah.
But they wanted to. You could tell that they were trying to
Right.
get in there. And so, I don't know. It's. I look forward to every day I go to work, and mostly because I just really enjoy talking. Like Wayne Williams, somebody else might be dealing with that customer, but I'll stop and I'll talk to him and just see what comes back. And I think almost every day there's some new surprise that comes out of a youngster's mouth, and I just go, it's amazing that you know that, or that you're at least on the right track.
Right.
Right? And so that inspires me to come to work every day.
Well, it's such a cool place to work, too. I mean, how many listening rooms do we have? And multiple cinema theater rooms, like multiple speaker rooms. Like you said, 15, 16, 1,700 square feet of just, over 160 headphones and in-ears. Like, I mean, it's like a giant toy store for people that love music and movies.
Well, we get accused of being the Disneyland of
Disney, it feels that way. Every time I've visited the store, I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I don't even know where I would want to start.
So I discovered in the non-salesman scenario that it's better to let the gear do the job for sales
Right.
than it is to have somebody talk to you and say, "Don't you love that? How do you want to pay for it?"
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So that's how you buy a car, right? And then you go back and forth with the sales manager on discounts. And by the time you buy a car, like when we bought my wife's Mercedes, it was a thing where it was, I don't know how to explain it exactly, but it literally took 6 hours from the time we picked the car to the time we left with the car.
Oh,
If you did that to me in high
it's
school,
excruciating.
I would go crazy.
Yeah, that's excruciating.
And so that's kind of like the hi-fi experience. It's just you got to deal with the sales pitch. So I wanted to eliminate that, and then just the only way to do that was let the gear do the talking.
Yeah.
So we might take this audio research amplifier, move it over to this preamplifier, maybe from SAE or Macintosh or somebody else,
Right.
and set up different system scenarios for the customer because the customer's curious how it would sound.
Right.
That's all fun, but it's also heavy.
It's just a lot of lifting.
So
yeah.
I mean, like for example, the 2-channel amplifier I designed for SAE,
Yeah, that's beefy.
158 pounds. So
Almost broke my back lifting it and filming it. I remember.
but it is, to be fair, it is 158 in the box.
In the box.
It's only 100.
Yeah.
It's like 151 or something.
Yes,
out of
something
the
like
box.
that, yeah. It's still heavy. It's still very heavy.
And the 8-channel version It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's if you got a bad back, don't do
One of
it.
the coolest displays on an amplifier I've ever seen, though. That thing is bitching.
Yeah, that came out. That's actually a German design.
It's so cool. Love it.
So we found that they found that and the driver and the software all came out of Germany initially, and then during the Trump administration #1, we saw what he was doing when he was playing with the tariffs. So we found a way to get almost everything, with the exception of the rare earth power supply,
Right.
out of the United States. So we only have one part now that comes from Germany,
Right.
and nowhere else. There's no Chinese parts.
Right.
None of that stuff. So it's 100%. Well,
Almost
99.9.
99.999 or whatever. Yeah.
U.S. made. And that's kind of cool because here we are with Trump and he's really going crazy with tariffs. I don't have to raise the
You
price.
don't have to change it. Yeah, everything stays the same. And it's an amazing amplifier.
Well, thanks. It's a pretty good design.
Yeah.
And the company's growing pretty good now. So it's a company from 1968 is when it
Yeah,
started.
originally, yep.
And then it got sold to Giorgio Moroder.
Morse Kessler originally, I believe.
Morris Kessler,
Yep.
and he's still involved.
Giorgio was big in the electronic music,
Yes.
early stages of electronic music production.
He was
Pretty
with
famous.
He did with Daft Punk.
Yep, yeah, absolutely.
Did a lot of stuff. And so sold to him. He did nothing. He just sat.
Yeah,
Then he said, okay, some Chinese guy came along and bought the company, didn't care about the high-end audio aspect of it, turned it into like this Class D small PA system kind of a thing. You might go to a car show and use a
Oh
microphone.
no,
That's the kind of stuff they were doing.
that's not the legacy.
And so this other guy named Brian came along and convinced everybody to start it back up the way it was. Buy it back, start it back up. So that's what happened. And then I think it was 5 years ago, maybe 6, where Morris Kessler, the original guy, said, Jason, would you start designing this stuff because I'm going on my exit program.
Right.
I want to start thinking about retiring. And right now I think he's 79 years old, so there's no reason why he shouldn't be.
Right, 100%. Yeah.
But he's a good guy, and so I took a look at what his design philosophy was, and it was really easy to mirror. The only thing I did was make it so you could punish it harder.
You push it more. Yeah.
And so there was a point where the thermal trackers and stuff didn't quite get it all the way there. Modified that, boom. It was like a whole different amplifier.
Do you think you'll ever make a smaller version, maybe?
It's already been
Nice.
designed here. So instead of an 800 watt per channel version, it's a 400 watt per channel.
See, that's a sweet spot.
And instead of a $16,000 2-channel preamp, I have another one that we're expected to hit at about 9,000.
Sweet.
And then there's the 8-channel that's now 300 watts by 8 channels. So those are for the home theater guys.
Yeah.
And then all we have to do is just basically half it. And so
Yeah.
now we have one that's 150 watts coming.
Nice.
So by 8 channels. So those guys that are doing, 15 channel systems
Right.
buy 2 chassis, and now you got 16 channels. You got a spare.
Yep.
So you blow one up, you just.
Hopefully they don't blow them up, but
No.
it happens.
But the 150 watters should be more it's more affordable, of course.
Yeah.
But it'll be for the smaller systems.
Yeah, not everybody needs that much power.
No, the 300 watt per channel is that's Thor's hammer.
Yeah.
That thing can scare the hell out of you because it's running the same voltage down 2 rails. So as a net result, you end up thinking, if you're familiar with all this stuff all the time, that's hitting like a 600 watt amplifier, not like a 300 watt
Right.
amplifier. And then you just keep turning the volume up and you go, how far will this go? Well, it'll go farther than your ears can handle.
Or the speakers in some cases, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, because I remember when I was reviewing the amp with the Olympica Nova 5s, I'm like, I don't need that much power for these speakers. I mean, because those are pretty efficient speakers.
So the Olympica Nova 5 was designed using a 300 watt, the MC312
yeah.
from Macintosh. And so it's a 300 watt amplifier. You were throwing an 800 watt amplifier out.
Yeah.
With,
It still sounded incredible, don't get me wrong, but
Well,
you know how you can read how much watt output? I'm like, man,
the needle's barely moving.
yeah, I didn't need that much.
Well, the Nova 5 is, like I said, designed for a smaller amp. And their stuff is, most of Sonus Faber's gear is designed for that 200 to 400 watt range.
Well, that's why I asked if you're making a smaller amp. I'm thinking about the Novas, man.
So designing for them is forced me into things, to do things I've never done. Like I've never designed a phono preamp. I'm doing one right now. I've never designed a DAC. I know how they work. I know how to basically know the fundamentals of designing one. But now I'm actually tasked with designing one. And if you know me, when I design anything and my name is in there somewhere,
Yeah, you're gonna put everything into it.
I'm going to make sure that something
Yeah.
like that works
Yeah.
and works well.
Yeah.
I'm not a half-asser when my name is involved in that. So it's just, I think that SAE will have, it's probably the extent of where it will be for the next 3 years. After that, I'm not going to be working for them. Not that I don't want to work,
Yeah.
but I think I will have given SAE the best I can give them.
Sure.
And they should find somebody else. Because like Morris at 79, I just turned 73 a few
Yeah,
days
you want to
ago.
relax eventually too.
And,
just
and so
happy belated birthday.
thanks, appreciate it. So if you guys want to send me a gift, it was September 8th. And I don't drink, but I do edibles. Anyway,
It's California,
I
baby.
grew up in the 60s. Come
That's
on.
right, and it's California. It's all good.
Anyway, so that it's just I think we have an understanding of why the source is, who the source is.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you want to know?
No, I mean, I think that I've learned so much. It was awesome. I would just say, if you haven't been down to our store yet, you've got to check it out. We're in Torrance, California, and it is, from an outsider's perspective, in me that hasn't been around the store for just for a few years now, it is truly a Disneyland for audio, video, cinema. And the only other thing we didn't really talk about that is important, we don't just sell products. We offer an abundant amount of services, like home automation, installation.
So it's not just home automation. So we do it automation. So we do it commercial and residential.
Yeah.
We do a lot of commercial work. I would say that, so maybe about 25% of what we do is commercial.
Yep.
And then the rest, 75% is, custom integration, custom installs, where we design the entire room from the ground up sometimes.
Yeah.
And so, Steve and my brother forced me to go out and get a contractor's license. So if anybody ever said, here's a space,
Right.
build me a room,
You can do it.
I can do it legally.
Yep.
Just got to pull the permits and get it done, right?
Yep.
And that's I don't do a lot of that. Back in the beginning, we did a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm winding down. I would rather be in the store,
Yeah. Talking with a
planning and engineering,
Yeah.
or talking to customers. And,
Yep.
And so so the customers who call into the store and ask questions are going to end up most of the time talking to Wayne. And then if I see Wayne's on the phone and I'm doing some engineering or something, I'll pick up the surplus calls, and then people go, Jason? It's like, I wanted to talk to you. Don't be afraid to talk to me. I don't mind sharing ideas. And I'm not, if you don't have a clear understanding, and I give you a clear understanding, I feel good that I was able to help you understand. I don't want you to feel shy about asking, because we can share knowledge amongst ourselves, and then we all make better decisions.
Yeah, I love it. I think we close it with that. That was well said.
I'm good.
Thank you, sir. This is great. And thank you, all of you, for watching. If you're checking this out live, and then for anybody watching it after, check us out. Follow us all weekend long. We're going to be live streaming all day tomorrow, too, from the showroom floor. And I'll continue to keep dropping the links to the live streams in the 2025 impressions thread. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.